Linear systems word problems. Our question says, Brenda invests $500 in 2 different types of savings bonds. One bond earns 1.5% per annum, that means per year, interest, and the other earns 0.9% per annum. At the end of the year, she has earned a total of $6.42 in interest. How much did she invest in each account? So to tackle this word problem, we're going to try to use the grasp solving method, right? So we're going to break it down into what was given, what's being required, the analysis, how we're going to solve the problem, then we're actually going to solve the problem with the solution, and then present our answer in a sentence. So first I'm going to take a look at the question and break it down into what was given. So it says Brenda invests $500 in 2 different savings bonds. So something that seems important is that she invests $500. And that's total. So part of it goes into one account and part of it goes into the other. She does have one account that earns 1.5% interest. And there's another one that gets 0.9% interest. And she gets a total of $6.42 in interest. Okay, the R is required. So what is this question asking me to find? Usually the last sentence helps me figure that out. So the last sentence says, how much did she invest in each account? So how much at 1.5%, and how much did she invest at 9% or 0.9%? Okay, analysis is the tricky part. That's where we try to think about the question, think about the skills that we have, the formulas that we know, and try to figure out how we're going to solve this question. So the question wants me to know how much, well, figure out how much did we invest at each amount, right? So how much did we put in at 1.5%? How much did we put in at 0.9%? And how are we going to solve that? Well, what skills did we learn in this unit? This unit has been all about solving linear systems by either graphing, substitution, or elimination. I don't have a grid, so I don't think I'm going to graph. So substitution or elimination is going to be my solving method of choice. It really just depends on the equations, once I see them, which of those 2 methods I'm going to use. So in order to do substitution and elimination, I do require 2 equations. How am I going to make up equations? What type of information do I have that would be useful in an equation? Well, one of them is probably that I have $500 to invest. And the other one is probably going to be from that $6.42 in interest that we earned. So this is really just a little plan to help me brainstorm what it is I think I'm going to do to solve the question. So we're going to make 2 equations. One's going to be about the $500. One's going to be about that $6.42. I'm going to solve them by substitution or elimination, and then I'll know how much I invested at each amount. So I'm going to put that plan into action with my solution over here. So in order to have 2 equations, I need variables, which means I need let statements so that I can assign what variables we're going to use and what we're going to use them for. So the question wants to know how much at 1.5 and how much at 0.9. So I'm going to let something be the amount of money invested at 1.5%, and I'm going to let something be the amount of money invested at 0.9%. Okay, so I have some choices. Since we're going to try doing substitution or elimination, we usually use two variables, which means I could let x be the first and y be the second one. You can pick any letters you like. Normally I try to choose letters that represent what they're talking about, whether it's socks or people's names, but really this is just percents and money. So I'm just going to let x be the amount invested at 1.5 and y be the amount invested at 0.9. So to set up the equations, I need to think about what we're going to use. So one of the equations is going to be set up around the $500. And the other equation is going to be set up around that $6.42. So when I talk about x and y, that's the the amount of money that was invested. So is the total amount of money invested $500, or is the total amount of money invested $6.42? That $6.42 is interest, right? X and y represent the original money that went into the account. So if I took x and y and added them together, it would equal $500. Now, interest, the amount of money invested, x, was invested at 1.5%. So interest is when you earn a certain percentage of the money that you invested. So the interest earned on x, we would get by finding 1.5% of the initial amount of money. So to do this, I'm going to find 1.5% of x. How do I do that? We do 1.5, and since it's a percent, we're going to divide it by 100%, means per 100, and then times that by x. And then we're going to find 0.9% of y. So I'm going to do 0.9 out of 100 times y, and that should equal $6.42, right? So just one last time really quickly, interest, we earn 1.5% of what we invested. So we need to find 1.5% of x for the interest. So you do 1.5 divided by 100 because it's a percent, and then times x, and then 0.9 divided by 100 because it's a percent times y. Now, I could leave these as fractions. I could try to eliminate the fraction by multiplying everything through by 100, or I could just divide these and have a decimal. I think I might actually just divide these and see how that works out. So 1.5 divided by 100 gives me 0.015. And 0.9 divided by 100 gives me 0.009. And if you don't like working with decimals, we could multiply by a 1 with 3 zeros or 1,000 to get rid of these decimals, but I don't mind them so much. So I have this equation here, x plus y equals 500. And I have this equation here, 0.015x plus 0.009y equals 6.42. And we could either solve by substitution or elimination. I do notice that the x and y do not have coefficients, which makes me think substitution might be a good choice. But if you like elimination, you can use elimination as well. So I think what I'm going to do is substitution, and I'm going to rearrange to isolate for x, which means I'm going to take y away from both sides to move that over to get 500, take away y. And I'm going to take this equation here, and everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put in 500 take away y. So I have 0.015 times 500 take away y plus 0.009 y equals 6.42. I need to expand out the bracket with the help of my calculator. So 0.015 times 500 is 7.5. And then 0.015 times y is negative 0.015y plus 0.009y equals 6.42. So I'm going to collect up my like terms. So negative 0.015 plus 0.0909 gives me negative 0.006y And then to solve for y, I'm going to start by taking that 7.5 away, right? The negative belongs to the 0.006. So I'm going to take 7.5 away from both sides. And I get negative 1.08. So I have negative 0.006y equals negative 1.08. And then I'm going to finish off by dividing by negative 0.006. And I end up with 180. Now, what does that mean? Y, we let be the amount invested at 9%, sorry, 0.9%. So that means that Brenda invested $180 at 0.9%. Now, to figure out how much she invested at 1.5%, I'm going to come back to this equation here. And everywhere I see a Y, I'm going to put in 180. And I get $320. So she invested $320 at 1.5%. She invested $180 at 0.9%. And then I need to just do my last step, right? We've done GRAS. Last step is the P, the present, by writing a sentence that says, therefore, Brenda invested $320 at 1.5% and $180 at 0.9%. And those are linear system word problems with percents.